this has been a big focus on this year's season, is that creativity is coming out. It's here. I think, like you said, it's everybody's got it in them. I think they just have to be given the green light a little bit to, to try it and to put it out there and see where you can go with it.
Welcome to the show. This is like the first official panel discussion that we've had on Coffee and Words. So I am really excited. We've got Kevin Murakami, and we've got Joy Freeman. We've got Sonja LaVoice. We've got Chad Casey, and Cheryl Morgan is co-hosting today. So guys, let's go around and just introduce yourselves and just tell us a little bit about who you are. We'll let the ladies go first. So Joy.
Sure. So my name is Joy Freeman. I don't have an accent, but I am a native of Kenya, Mombasa, Kenya, East Africa. Been here in Memphis since the 80s with my immediate family. I love music. I love people. I'm a pretty down to earth kind of person. And I'm happy to be here. I'm married. I have a husband, no children. But I'm excited to be here. So thanks for having me.
And you're a singer, songwriter?
Yes, of course. I need to say that, huh? I'm a singer, songwriter, musician, and arranger. And music is cool. I genuinely love music, all genres. And so I'm truly grateful to be musically inclined and to express myself in this creative way. Yeah.
All right, Sonja.
Hi, yes, I am Sonja LaVoice. At least that's what I go by in the music world. And I've been in Germany for it's going on 15 years now since I've been here, but I am a native of Montserrat. That's an island in the Caribbean. And I made my way 10 years in the States. That's where I met Jill and some of the other people that I did musical theater with and gospel choir. And since I've been here, I've just been doing a lot of my music, singing, writing for myself, being involved with choirs. I'm also married, have 2 little girls. And thank you for inviting me to the show. I really, really appreciate it and can't wait to have a great discussion with the others. Thank you.
Thank you for being here. All right, Chad, you're on the bottom of my screen here, right? I'm kind of going order. I'm like,
I'm Chad Casey. I'm actually a graphic designer by trade, but I've been playing guitar since I was 14. We won't get into how many years that's been, but it's been a while. I've actually been in a band for the past 5 years, which has been a change because I took about a 10-year break there. But I play the lead guitar in my band. I'm in a band with my brother-in-law, who's a great singer, and 2 other females that are singers in the band. And then we have a really good bass player who's spectacular, and then a new drummer that we're working to the mix now. But I've always just enjoyed playing music and self-taught on the guitar until I was about 25 when I took my first lesson. So I'm really excited to be here, and I enjoy music like the rest of you guys. So it's good to be here.
Yeah, it's good to have you. And this is Chad's second time on the show. So he was with us very early on in season 1 when Coffee and Words was just a little bitty baby show just starting out. So it's great to have you back.
Thank you.
Kevin, who is in a far away distant land right now. I say that we're in the same building. So
yeah, I'm not on the brick side of the wall. You've got the brick. I'm Kevin. I'm originally from Toronto, Canada, and I through music and wanting to expand the band's horizons, I hopped in a van with some friends and traveled down to LA and was there from late 80s to mid 90s, and now I'm in Fairview, Tennessee. My whole entire life I've wanted to be in rock bands, metal bands, and make our own music. And now I'm actually in, it's been about 12 years, I'm in a cover band, something that I thought I'd never do, but it's just for fun. and I try to write music and record it on my own on the side. But I've been playing guitar probably since I was about 14 or 15 or maybe younger. But I'm a whole lot older than Chad, I think. That doesn't make me that many years better. It's just that I've been playing longer. It's just, so there were a lot of years where I didn't really apply myself. And there was also probably a 2-year break, at least, when I did not pick it up at all. But I started out playing piano when I was a kid. So that's the whole musical spectrum for me, is just basically piano and guitar. Oh yeah, I played viola in high school, but I don't remember any of that. Basically just playing guitar. Yeah, now I'm here in Fairview, the center of the musical universe.
Yeah. Well, right outside of Nashville, and I have to say, while we're talking to Kevin, that he wrote the season 3's intro for Coffee and Words. So that is original music by Kevin Murakami. Yeah, so thank you for that.
Good.
And Cheryl, thank you for coming back and co-hosting again. We're gonna have to make it a regular thing.
I don't know if we can stand that. The world is not ready for the two of us together on a regular basis, Sarah.
True.
We'll see. Just a little bit about me. I've said this before, but I'm riding on Sarah's coattails this year with Coffee and Words and learning a little bit about podcasting, and just overjoyed that she's invited me to co-host on a couple of her episodes this year. And I am musically sort of inclined. I worked for Gibson Guitars when I first moved here to Nashville. From Memphis is where I know Joy from. We went to church together. So I moved up here about 7 years ago, and fortunately worked for Gibson Guitars, which is an amazing company, made in the USA. It's great, and loved working for them. But little known fact about Cheryl, even though I am a biker chick, I also play classical piano, or at least used to. Don't ask me to play when I get up there. It's been a long time.
Two pianos right out here.
Come on. Yeah, we've got 2 pianos.
Yes, see, our studio for Coffee and Words is up at the Fairview Arts Council. So Kevin's place of business is up there, and so there's plenty of musical instruments up there. So yeah,
Kevin's got some amazing guitars at Kevin's Rock and Roll Emporium. So
awesome amps.
Yeah,
Look at that Gibson up there.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
That's a good one.
beautiful. Oh my goodness. And Cheryl is an associate producer on the show, so she keeps us straight on so many things. Thank you, Cheryl, for all of that. But I'm going to jump right into it and to our discussion today. And I happened to see a thing recently that, since we're just going to talk about all things music, and it said, never underestimate the impact that just one note can have on an entire song. And that struck me. So what do you guys think about that? Let's talk about that for just a minute.
For sure. I mean, are you ever just sitting somewhere and you hear that first note and it takes you back to the place that you first heard that song? I don't know if that happens to you guys, but that happens to me all the time. And I know exactly where I was sitting when I first heard that song. It's so powerful. I really can identify with songs that way. Just even the first note. It's amazing.
I often say sometimes when words fail, music doesn't. So there are times when maybe you can't verbally express how you feel. Then you're in the vehicle and a song comes on the radio, or you're in the store and a song plays, on the PA, and it just ignites something in you, or it does something to you. It might encourage you. It might calm you down. It might give you the willpower that you need to face the rest of your day or the rest of your week if you're having a tough week or something like that. So to me, it's like when words fail, music doesn't. It can truly. It's therapeutic. It just does something on the inside.
Yes, therapeutic.
Mm-hmm.
Beautifully said. For me as well.
It's always amazed me how, and I know mathematically they're into all of that stuff, but just the simple fact that there's only so many notes and so many chords, but there is an infinite number of songs for thousands of years. We still have new songs being written and made all the time, and they're all different, and they're all just, and what you can do with those few notes and chords, and we're still making new music. I don't know, that has always just fascinated me.
I've noticed that every time we are at a practice session, we practice every Thursday night, and somebody will come up with something. It's usually my brother-in-law or I who will come up with a new melody. And I'm like, that's really close to this song. We need to tweak just that one note, like you were a second ago, or that speed, just tone it down a little bit or speed it up a little bit. And it's amazing how much we always come back to, you have to get over that, because every song has the same notes. Every song is potentially going to run into the same chord progression every once in a while. So you're going to have to skew it a little bit and put your own spin on it, and try to emote some kind of emotion from other people. But more so, it starts with yourself. If you go out, I've noticed that if I go out trying to provoke an emotion in someone else, it's not genuine. And I have to evoke it from myself first, and really tap in. If I'm ever zoning out in a song, I have to remember what's going on in my life at the moment, or what I want it to be, and I can try to make my fingers do that and make the sound come out of the instrument that way, or move the song in a pattern that is going to show what I'm actually feeling or what I'm thinking at the moment. So
Yeah. Do you guys find that as well?
I agree with Chad. Just listening to him made me think of the saying, what's from the heart reaches the heart, you know? So I totally agree with what you said, Chad. Beautifully said.
Yes.
I had a moment when I was in a recording or a rehearsal studio in Los Angeles, and we basically 5 guys had one vehicle to share. And that morning, one of the guys had to go to work. So whoever wanted to be out of this no-windowed rehearsal studio hopped into the van, and I got up late and I thought, I don't want to work on this song. So I stayed there, and I basically committed myself for being in that room for 9 hours. And while I was in there, I started working on a little musical passage, and it turned into a song. And I think I wrote the song in the first hour and a half, the chord changes and the melody. And then I started working on lyrics, and that took a couple of hours. I'm not really that good with lyrics. So for the next 4 or 5 hours, I just played this song over and over again, trying to learn it and play it. And for me, that was one of the songs that I wrote all by myself, when a lot of the songs were being written by the drummer and myself, mostly the drummer. And it was it was a song that kind of was written about the hardship of being in a band on the road. And I still listen to that, and it takes me right back to that room, smelly carpet. There was a meat processing plant down the couple blocks away. It brings it all back. It brings back the fact that day I had a sugar packet and a spoonful of peanut butter to eat, because I didn't go out with the other guys to go eat. So it for me, that particular song brings back that event. And I know that there are things that happen when people write about things in their life, and or things that they observe other people go through, and it brings back memories, brings back emotions, and it's really strong. It's something that can affect people in a very positive way, and unfortunately, it also affects people in a negative way. But I think it's something that's it's almost tangible in some respects.
Yeah, and it's a great outlet for emotions. And things that you're going through. It's a great way to process things. At least for me, music has always been a very central part of my life, even though I don't play any instrument with proficiency. I played piano as a kid, played guitar in high school, but never learned it well. And I do sing, but I'm not a musician like the rest of you. But yet every single day, I can't think of a single day that I wake up and go through the day without music playing some very important role in what I'm doing and in my writing. I find that when I'm writing something, there's usually music somewhere within the story, within the characters. And so it's just, yeah, it's back to what you guys are all saying. And like with the memories and with the way that music can just, it takes you to a moment and it helps you through a moment. So.
Yes. I couldn't even imagine one day without hearing music, listening to music. I mean, it's just part of my day. I wake up, I get ready, I'm listening to some song, or if I'm not listening to a song, I'm thinking about a song that I want to write. It just gets you through the day, and it is just essential for me. My emotions, if I'm not feeling well, if I'm feeling well, if I'm about to take on a new task, if I'm cleaning up, I have to have some music going in the background that just, gets me pumping, it's just part of my life.
Yeah. And do you think that music is human emotion in the form of art, the way that art kind of takes on? I mean, because it's like a central, like it's a soul thing. I don't know. It's something like deep within the human emotion that music expresses things, like you were saying, Joy, where words cannot. It's almost, I don't know how to put that into words. I feel like music kind of expresses emotion in the way of art. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, I
It
think
does.
No matter where you are in
Yeah.
the world or what language you speak, you're always going to find that the human being produces music, and it's always going to they're always going to be able to communicate with music through emotion. So no matter if I don't speak a different language from somebody on the other side of the world, there's potential there to communicate through the music.
Yes.
They're actually not going to have any clue what I'm saying, but they're going to know what I'm feeling.
Absolutely. I mean, I don't know how many times I've been to some opera that I don't understand a word of what they're. Be honest, you're sitting there, but you do feel and understand what's going on. And that is always, for me, I'm always amazed at how that works. And that is just, for me, the absolute proof that music is its language. It is an international language.
Yes.
And you're absolutely right. I mean, it doesn't matter if you don't speak the language of that person, wherever you are in the world. You could probably knock two pots together and tell somebody, just based on how you are hitting those pots, what you're feeling, what you want to communicate. So absolutely.
It's like music is the universal language. It's universal like a smile, it's something we all can identify with. So absolutely, Chad, I agree with both of you. Yes.
It resonates with all of us, even if it's in different ways, but that's, just like we communicate differently and we're all coming from different places. That is, I don't know, it is a fascinating thing. And I think it's universal because it impacts all of us. In some way, even if people say, I don't really listen to music, I don't really have a favorite. I mean, if there was no music, if they did, I just feel like it's got to resonate with everyone. And you mentioned opera. I love opera. And there is something about opera that moves you almost to tears. You don't have to know what they're saying. You can see it.
Yes.
I love opera. Some people don't like opera, but I'm a big fan.
I love going. I really do. And it's interesting because, as you say, I mean, usually, especially here in Germany, I mean, they're speaking German. So now, being that I've lived here, I do understand the words, but I really do just listen to the music, because, to be honest, that's what moves me. It's not the words, it's the music, it's the passages, that it's the emotions that you see on the people's faces. That's what gets me every time. I love it. I really love it.
I would say lyrics are definitely important.
Yes.
But yeah, but lyrics without music is just a poem. So
Yeah.
which poetry is beautiful, but yeah, well, tell me some personal experiences that you guys have had, like how music has impacted your life. Anything that you guys want to share about just something that has happened to you or something that you've experienced where music was just right there.
I can tell you that I guess depending on how you know me or how I'm feeling, people get up on whichever side of the bed, but in a small group of people or a large group of people, if I walk in, most likely I'll be a little bit reserved. And if two people get into a conversation with me about, let's say guitars or amps or something, then I'll be like, yeah, I'm getting excited. But for the most part, I'm not the guy that walks in the room and like, hey, everybody, watch me juggle. But the interesting thing is that when I'm up on stage and I'm playing, and maybe it's a little bit of the physical thing, I have the guitar in front of me. I will. It's just like it's a different person. I love being up on stage playing, being loud and rowdy and cranking it up and clowning up a little bit. And I've played shows where I've gotten off the stage and people come up to me and go, wow, that was really cool. That was really nice. And then I feel funny. I feel like, wow, you're talking about me? That's like, I don't feel really comfortable talking about me being up on stage because now I'm taking the guitar off and I'm just standing here and I feel vulnerable. So it's almost like a shield. And there's probably, if you get a psychologist on here, there's going to be a reason why. But it's maybe it's because the first band that I ever listened to was Kiss, and it's basically like a theatrical spectacle with music. And I love crazy loud rock shows, and I'm also a fan of classical guitar. So it's the thing that brings me out, and then I can actually put it away and then go for a hike in the woods and listen to birds, and it fills both worlds. So
you and me both. I mean, in my everyday life, if you did not know that I did performances, that I sing, that I am in different bands, you would not guess at all. And that is usually the response when someone hears me sing for the first time or I've done a performance. It's exactly like you say. I am completely somebody else. I'm in my element, and then I turn into what the Germans like to call a Rampensau. And that is completely someone who is just like a spotlight pig. And it's just amazing. And then I just get into being Sonja LaVoice. That's me and the music. And when I sing, I'm singing every word because I want whoever is listening to it to sort of get my emotion at that point. And then I get off the stage and it's exactly like you said, people go, oh, you were so great. And I'm just like, oh, thank you. And I'm, I get back into, oh, well, this is just Sonja, regular me. But it is amazing how that music gets into your body and transforms you into a completely different person.
Powerful.
yeah, that's why I also feel that it's important as a performer to get on stage, and no matter what kind of day you're having, to put on that show and represent what you know that you can be, because
Yes.
the people that are coming to see you are expecting that, and then they don't want to see you have a bad day. They're going there because they had a bad day and they want to see a great show. And
that ties back to something I was always brought up with, which is what Michael Jordan used to say. He said, no matter where you're playing or how you're feeling, it's going to be somebody in that audience's only chance they get to see you play.
Right.
And so he tries to be the best he could be every single time he was out there. So it plays into what you were saying there.
Yeah.
Joy.
I really echo everyone. Like, you know, for me personally, music has always been an outlet, even before I realized, before I even had a desire to pursue it, because I didn't always have a desire to pursue music. It was always around, but for a good season of my life, or seasons of my life, music was more so in the backdrop, and it was like sports in the forefront, if that makes sense. But over the years, when it went like this, I realized that music has always been an outlet for me, and I can identify with Kevin, talking about like the shield, or when you were talking, Kevin, about your guitar. For me, like, my word is safety net. You know, it's like
Oh, yeah.
like a safe place. You know, but a shield as well. When you're able to be just in your element. You know, and like Kevin, like Chad said, speaking about Michael Jordan. You know, just really giving it your all. And I try my best to practice how I will perform, because, you know, muscle memory, that thing is real. You know, I know for a fact, even from playing, sometimes I check out mentally and my hands just know what to do. And I'm like, I'm so thankful in this moment. But just really, just really not only just taking your craft seriously, but being free, you know, but being free and giving yourself the opportunity to explore and just see what all you can do, or what all that performance can be. It really does transcend when it's time to perform, when it's time to do the concert, the show. And I mean, I couldn't agree with Kevin, Sonja, and Chad any more than what they've already stated. You know, just like music is an outlet for us, it's an outlet for others, and people are coming. You know, they've had a crappy day, and it's that riff Kevin plays on his guitar. Like, I needed that. You know, you have people out in the audience like, yeah, you know what I mean? Just like, they just need, you know, I mean, I'm just being honest, you know, you never know. You know, it could be the chord progression that Chad plays for Sonja. It could be that run that you do. It's just, you just never know how your gift will impact someone.
Yes.
From the other side of the guitar, looking in, you know, there have been so many, and Sarah and I had an episode, we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, about therapy and trauma. We all have trauma. We've all been through trauma in our lives. And if you hadn't, God bless you, it's coming, because we just all have to experience that. But, you know, I look back on my personal trauma or traumas, and it's music. You know, I'm so blessed that I was able to learn how to speak classical, because I feel that, you know, music has its own internal language as well. And, you know, when I hear people that love classical music, and we just start talking classical, or, you know, other things, it's not just classical, but you can speak that language to people and you connect. You know, it's like that emotional definition that helps. And it's been so therapeutic for me, because certain songs, as we were talking about earlier, bring back those memories. And even though they may be sad emotional memories, it's still good. It still brings you back. And number one, can say, hey, this got me through that time. You know, I can't tell you how many times I know a certain playlist, or just Elvis, y'all. I'm a crazy Elvis girl. And so, you know, if I need a little uplifting, you know, it's either my gospel music or it's my Elvis music, and I'll turn it on and I'll rock it out, and it'll get me through, you know? So I think therapy, the healing power of music, is just absolutely amazing for everybody, no matter which side of the guitar you're on.
You're right. I can tell you one thing, and that is I scream when I'm playing electric guitar. But when I'm playing acoustic, it helps me to beat back the demons. I don't know if it's just me beating the sound out of the acoustic, the vibration I feel from it, but it's gotten me out of depression multiple times. And it doesn't work the same for electric for me. But I play primarily electric. But if I ever need to get my soul in check, I can feel the rhythm and the beating of that acoustic guitar against me, I guess. You spoke of trauma. I lost my dad when I was 19 years old. And when you're just becoming a young man, that is something you need to try to get over. And if you were raised coddled like I was, you got to grow up pretty quick. So I I would play the guitar for my mom at night when she was laying there in bed. And so acoustic gets you through some major things. Music soothes the soul. It can make you feel emotions. I notice it every time I'm watching TV with my wife. I'll say, "Oh, listen to the music right now. That's how we're supposed to feel." It's like they're telling us right now, and I kind of get agitated by it, to tell you the truth, because they're trying to emotionally manipulate you in what the story is. I just want to know the story, and then I was like, so now I guess I'm supposed to be like I can tell what's coming because the music is heightened, things like that. And like, but it's an art in itself, so I love it too. I love film in that aspect as well. So scores are great. So
Yeah,
sorry.
and that's important. And Cheryl and I were talking about this before the show because I think I mentioned to all of you about, what would the world look like without music, but what would movies, what would film look like without music? What would that experience be? It would be an entirely different story because the music carefully chosen for each scene and for whatever the vibe of the story is, whatever's happening, it moves you emotionally with those characters. It is such a powerful thing that you feel the story, even I think more intimately with the music than if there was no music, or if you took a movie and you inserted different music in it. I feel like it would change the story. So
Well, it hits at a different level. It goes deeper because you're seeing with your eyes the movie or the film itself. And then that, I think the music really reaches and resonates in your soul. And so those combined together make, the ultimate, experience for you.
I remember seeing American Werewolf in Paris. And I remember that was the first time that I saw a scene that had the guy transforming into a werewolf, which would be a horrific thing. And you'd normally have da, 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 or whatever, or some like scary violins and like Jaws, like that kind of thing. And they had Blue Moon playing. And it was so unusual. The first time I saw that twist where they would have something where he's screaming in pain, he's rolling around, he's turning into a werewolf, and they got Blue Moon. And that struck me as, wow, they're instead of doing the really obvious, scary Dracula, vampires and monsters music, they have this real cool, nice swingy tune. And I guess it was after that, like what Chad was saying about inserting mood music, I would pay attention a lot more to if their friend was moving away or something, and you start hearing the violins coming in, you're like, oh, come on, no, don't do that now. No. Like it's almost too obvious. So
Right.
Yeah, and that's a very subtle way to make it so chilling. That changes the whole vibe of that scene with Blue Moon. That just gets to your bones. It's chilling, when that scene like that. So that was creatively clever for them.
Well, that's my secret, because I cannot stand watching horror films or anything like that. And if there is something on, I just mute it. I'm like, the music.
Yep.
I'll try to watch the scene without listening to the music.
That's right.
That gets me through.
Yes.
Because it does. The music is just incredibly piercing at times. And really, if you don't have that bit, you could get through it. But the score is often that last bit that just hits you right there, like, oh.
Yeah. And it's incredible how really music can be almost a character in the story. It takes on its own life form. And I really think you can personify music in so many ways. It's that powerful. Yeah. Well, so what about musical ability? Because, a lot of people think, well, I don't have any, I'm not gifted. I don't have any musical ability. And I'll say again, actually there's a quote in the book. This is the first time I've ever brought this out on the show. So. There's a quote in this book where the musician, who's the main character, he's speaking to someone who says, she can't carry a tune, she has no musical ability. And he said, everyone has some musical ability, even if it's just appreciation for the sound. So what do you guys think about that? Do we all have a musical ability within us? I think we do.
Yeah, I think if you look at the what gets recognized as the top end of the scale, where you have people like Jaco Pastorius, or in my world, Paul Gilbert or Eddie Van Halen, Randy Rhoads, and then you have people that are just as gifted but maybe not popular. And as you go down the ladder, far down the ladder, then you find me, who I think I've learned to play music at a very young age. So whatever that ability that I had was probably fostered very early, and I was able to build on that. But I remember probably when I was 16 or 17, seeing a guy that was a couple of years younger than me, and I still can't play like that guy did back then. So there's got to be something that allows you to run faster or be smarter or play better or do better math equations. And if you catch it in time, you can cause that ball to roll down the hill faster and farther. But I think it's there for everybody in some way.
I agree. I think might have been a couple of weeks ago, my husband and I were talking, and we were talking about just life and people and just like skill sets, things of that sort. And I told him, I said, well, from my perspective, I feel that we are all creatives. Like seriously, everyone is naturally gifted in something, you know? And so, and I think it's good when someone can see that, whether that someone sees that in themselves or someone else sees it in that person. You know, it's really good, as Kevin said, you know, like take hold of it, you know, foster it, do whatever you can to invest in that. And I'm telling you, I just think it can just morph into something beautiful, like seriously. And it can change one's trajectory. It really can, you know. Just knowing I wouldn't even just say just at a young age, but just knowing, just the moment you know, like, okay, I'm gifted in this. Okay, I am a creative. What can I do? What can I do with my gifts? What can I do with my talents? You know? And so I just think that it makes a difference once when you recognize it, and then one, when you recognize it, and then two, when you're able to invest in that.
I absolutely agree. I don't believe in the premise that some people are gifted, some people can sing, some people can, and others cannot. I think everyone has some part of them that is creative, that can identify with music. And it's just a matter of, I often say, exposure, because a lot of people are not really exposed to music or creativity, even if it's not at a young age, but maybe even later in life. Personal experience is a friend of mine who very late in her life said, oh, well, you know, I've always been interested in singing, but, you know, I was always told I didn't have a very nice voice. And she started taking lessons and put on a show and had a room full of people. And I just applaud that, because I think a lot of times it's just what we're told, or expectations even from family, friends, people around you who don't see or compare. I think a lot of comparison happens even with, well, you know, you're not as good as this person, so maybe you should probably not do that. I think it's a lot to do with exposure and just tapping into yourself and believing in yourself and going for it, because everybody has that in them in some form.
I think our dreams are stifled a little bit when we're younger because, you know, oh, well, can you make money doing that? Well, you know, maybe I can't, but it's my love. Or maybe you can make money, But then I'm in a different phase in my life. I'm of a certain age now. And it's funny that when you're on this trajectory and you're looking more toward retirement now, I've talked to a lot of women. It's been just recently in the past 6 months, a lot of women that are my age are going, I'm sick of corporate America. I'm sick of doing this. I've been making a living, but I haven't really done what I wanted to do. And when you go, what do you want to do? Number one, well, I'm not that creative, comes out of their mouth, and they're like, I just want to do something where I've fulfilled more. I want to do something more creative. And you're like, okay, what is it? And really, when you start to dig into that, this has been a big focus on this year's season, is that creativity is coming out. It's here. I think, like you said, everybody's got it in them. I think they just have to be given the green light a little bit to, to try it and to, put it out there and see where you can go with it.
Trust themselves.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Trust
encourage
themselves.
each other and encourage that trust, because sometimes it's hard to trust ourselves on our own. Talking about growing up and fostering things in children and when they're growing up and so forth. I mean, I grew up in a home where I was encouraged by one parent and discouraged by the other, so it was very, very mixed. It was like, okay, maybe I can do this. Okay, no, I can't. I'll never succeed at anything. And it was so very mixed, bag of emotions there. And so, yeah, you have to encourage and foster that. You really do. And find a way to, because, you don't have to hit the notes that Celine Dion hits to be a singer. There's a vocal coach he's got a huge channel on YouTube. I don't know, some of you may know who I'm talking about. I won't say names, but he's got a big channel. And I remember watching a video that he did. And I remember him saying multiple times, actually, that most people are not tone deaf. People think they can't carry a tune, or they think that they're tone deaf. But most people are not, that is actually very rare. And he said, you can learn to detect the notes, and you can learn to sing, that most people can learn to sing really well. They just think that they can't. They just think, oh, I'm not able to do it. And so it's interesting that you brought up someone who was always told they couldn't, and then they took lessons, and then they were singing for a room full of people. That's a beautiful story.
Yeah. So on that encouragement, it needs to start early. I think we need to do a lot more to encourage young children at an early age. I remember with my girls, I always had music playing, even when they were in their cribs or in their cots, just soothing music, or just during the day. I think it is just something that helps soothe the soul. And if you get that really early on, not saying that will, take you on a trajectory to be a musician, but it comes back to that healing. It comes back to that, this is where I can find my soothing. This is where I can get strength even. This is where, I've always been really, really adamant that music is definitely soothing, and it is definitely a part of a healing journey. And yeah, it needs to start early.
And it can inspire, even if you don't take a musical path, that early exposure, can inspire whatever your creative talents are. It's going to help other things to flourish and just bring out those other artistic pieces of you. Because I agree I remember, is it Joy or Sonja that said that we're all, I think it's Joy, you said that we're all artists, or we're all creative.
We're all creative. Absolutely.
We're not. Some people, or people will tell themselves that, no, I'm not artistic, I'm not creative. But I think that we are. I truly believe.
As Cheryl said earlier, you're put into a box when you're young, and they're already telling you to sit in your desk and start listening and stop doing this, stop doing that.
Yeah.
And me and my wife, we have two sons, they're 4 and 9. They've been singing since they could just start walking. Basically, they just start singing. And I found myself playing guitar in one room, and then I heard my 4-year-old pick up his little toy guitar and start playing in the other room. They just need to be nurtured a little bit about that thing. And Kevin, you're gonna like this. My son was asking about Ozzy Osbourne if he was playing the guitar on Crazy Train. I was like, let me tell you who Randy Rhoads is. And so one of the best amazing guitar players you'll ever see. So now my 9-year-old's inquisitive. He doesn't think everybody's Led Zeppelin, but he knows who Led Zeppelin is. And so now he's being introduced to all these other musicians, and he's going to find that you can compare them, sure, but there's no way Taylor Swift can sing as well as Celine Dion. But who's written the most music? Who's brought the most to the table? I don't know. There's a comparison there too. And who really cares? You, as another thing, you don't put a limit on things. What's the saying? You shoot for the stars and you land on the moon, maybe. I think as long as your goals and your ambitions are high and you don't put a limit on yourself, then you're gonna reach great things, even if they're great only to you and the people who you do perform for, or maybe you never perform, but it's still something you can enjoy. I hope my wife doesn't see this, but she can't sing, and she can't play music.
Wait.
But she loves it.
Now
And I
hold
tell you,
on. Didn't we
I
just
went
say
through-
that
I went
everybody
through
can
graphic design school.
She can learn. Tell him, Sonia.
Well,
We were
I went
talking
through
about
graphic
this.
design school. This is something I'm gonna throw something out there for her. I went through graphic design school at VCU. It's one of the top ranked schools in the country. She's better than I am. She's an attorney. She's better at graphic design than me. I just know the programs. So there's that. And I don't know. It's just a funny quirk.
Save, Chad.
Yeah. Yes. So my profession, she's better at than I am, but I can do the job, so it's okay.
But you want something, the joy that we take from something should be, it doesn't matter what other people think of it. If we took joy from that and we were able to maybe give joy to someone else, or we were able to, which kind of leads me into the connectivity of music. Tell me about connecting with other people through music, because it has that power as well. And there's so much that we can take from art and creativity, especially music, that whether or not we're the best of the best, again, I agree, we got to stop comparing ourselves and stop comparing other people, because there's a key component, there's a central aspect of what we take from something and how it helps us and how it helps other people. So tell me about connecting with others through music, and maybe connections you guys have made, that music was an integral part of that you would not have had otherwise.
Well, earlier we were talking about how when you go on stage, you're hiding behind something. I tend to go out in the real world and I don't talk to people. So when I do play music and people are playing music, we have a lot more in common than we ever would have known if we are connecting music wise. But otherwise, I wouldn't be speaking with a lot of the people out there that do come up to me at shows. That I tend not to go up to people at shows, but we find something to talk about that we never would have spoken about before. So.
Well, for me personally, I think I said at the beginning of the show, I'm from Montserrat. It's an island in the Caribbean, and I left when I was finished with high school and went to the U.S. To study, and music was always my connection to people. I started out at every school, every university I ever went to, I always got involved with the gospel choir. I always got involved in a theater group, musical theater group. It was always my way to connect to people, just, being alone in countries, just simply being alone. I didn't have family when I left my home. So I always sought out those avenues to connect to people. And some of my longest and dearest friends, even though we may not even be in the same country anymore, have flourished through those connections that I made years ago, and continue to make through music. It's always been my avenue, my channel to connect to people. And talking about personal experience or it just being satisfying for yourself, and a personal plug for me, I guess, is my EP that I released a couple of years ago, and it was just about 5 songs on there. And when I did that, people said, well, it's not really the kind of music that people want to hear now. It's not going to be popular radio music, and it's not going to be, you're not going to become the next, whoever's on the top of the charts these days. And I said, but that's not what this is about. This is a personal experience for me. This is me writing what I'm feeling. This is about me making a project and achieving a goal that I've always wanted to do. And the best and satisfying thing is when I listen at the door and my kids are listening to my songs and singing to them. And I said, I've achieved everything I ever wanted to. So, so for me, music, again, it's the channel. It gets me connected to people. And the best thing that I can receive is when someone says to me, you really touched me today with your voice. I was going through something and, your words, your music, your voice really touched me. That's the best gift that I can give and will continue to do so.
Yeah, that's sweet, Sonja. Y'all are just killing it. I love it. I'm just saying, it's just, I'm listening to you all and it's almost like I'm hearing myself out loud or my thoughts. So for me, one of the greatest connections I've had by way of music is actually the group that I sing in. So I do a lot of things musically, and one of my musical commitments is singing in a group. We're called Adagio, and we are a female vocal group, and it's 4 of us. And January of next year will make 19 years we've been a group. But we're more than a group. We are the sisterhood. I mean, it's just amazing. Like, we may not be blood related, but those are my sisters. Like, we are family. We've seen each other through so many different seasons and, phases of life. And it's so crazy how music brought us together, but the blessing, I will say, for me has been our sisterhood. And then because of our sisterhood, it has opened up so many doors for us musically, if that even makes sense verbally, what I'm saying. And I just think about like places we've been to, people we've opened up for. Even now, we're currently working on some more original music, going to drop a single next year. It's just so cool to see, wow, like just this one connection with the 3 of them that I've been afforded, and just the opportunities that have come our way and that are still coming our way. And I cannot imagine my life without them, if that makes any sense. Like, I cannot imagine my life like it. My life has been different and has been better, has been richer because of the connection that we have. And so that's just one connection I have to speak to, or I desire to speak to, because I genuinely love them. And I've learned so much from them, and I'm still learning from them. Like, we learn from one another. And I think it's really cool how our differences really balance each other out. I'll be with them tomorrow. We'll be together tomorrow night celebrating two birthdays. And so doing a birthday dinner, just the 4 of us. So I'm just grateful for that connection, that was made with them. And almost 19 years later, still going strong and still seeing fruit from our labor and just still evolving and growing. So that's my answer to your question, Sarah, about that.
Joy, I'm going to jump in real quick because I'm going to brag on you for a second. We're talking about, the connection, and we're talking about giving out, and we're talking about children. And Joy has not talked about it yet, but she is the music director for an amazing ministry in my hometown, Memphis, called Angel Street. And you will give a much better description of it than I will. Will you tell us just a little bit about that? Because it's amazing how many girls it's affecting and changing their lives.
Absolutely. Thank you, Cheryl. Absolutely. So I work for an organization, nonprofit called Angel Street here in Memphis. It was founded in 2013. I've been with Angel Street since 2014. We're located in the heart of North Memphis, and we meet at a community center, Bigford Community Center, and we provide music, specifically vocal training, music and mentoring for young ladies ages 8 to 18, free of charge. And we work extremely hard to make sure that we don't have to turn away anyone who desires to be a part of the organization. And it's funny a lot of times when the girls will go out in the community, and even sometimes we were in Nashville Thursday when we travel at times. It's so funny sometimes how people will come to me or other staff members and they'll say, thank you for the work that you're doing, or more so, they're so lucky to have y'all, but we're actually fortunate, we're the fortunate ones because we learn from one another. We teach them, they teach us, and it's to me, it's a beautiful blend of different generations just coming together and just moving forward, all in the name of just being better and really shining a light. So our founder is Jill Dyson, who Cheryl knows, and the vision that she received years ago about this, I'm just truly ecstatic that she decided to pursue it. And I mean, they've performed in front of former President Jimmy Carter, opened up on K-Love Fan Award show, sang with Mandisa, Toby Mac, just other people I can't think of in this moment. So, I mean, our girls are just doing really great things. And I'm really honored to be a part of such a incredible organization that has a more incredible mission, if you ask me. And I think one of the best investments a person could ever make in their life is really investing in the life of another. And I think the best way for that investee to pay it back really is to pay it forward. So that's what we desire for our girls to do. And we understand that not everyone will pursue music once they leave our program, but just going back to some things that we've said on here, exposure and things of that sort. Our hope is that the exposure that we've been able to afford them throughout their years of being in our program, that they can take that and really pursue whatever they desire to do so. And they know, our girls know they are creatives. They know that for sure.
And this is part, and we've got a lot more coming on our season finale. So because we're gonna really talk to the whole Angel Street team. So we're excited about that. But I think this is important that you're also giving the girls a different view of what's out there. Most of these children are from very low income families and low income place in Memphis. And so I see that most musicians, no matter what you do, you want to give back because you get so much out of your craft that you do want to give back in the community. So I think that's a common thread as well. So Joy, thank you so much for sharing that.
Thank you, Cheryl. I appreciate that more than you know. Thank you.
And talking about connecting with people, listening to you talk about that and what you're giving them and working with them and what you're able to accomplish within that, when they go out into the world, everyone they come across is now connected to what you're doing through them. They get to see the outcome of that through interacting with, meeting these girls for the rest of their lives everywhere they go. It spreads out, it branches out. And I think that's kind of some of what we're talking about with music is, and how powerful it is to stop and think for a minute just how far music can reach and how many people it can reach and how many people it has the potential to bring together. And that is just, it will never stop being amazing when you think about it. And it's just an incredible thing. Tell me what some of your favorites are. So we've talked a lot about what music can do. What music moves you guys? favorite artists, favorite songs, favorite albums, favorite film scores. What is your go-to? What's on your playlist right now? I mean, let's get into some of our personal favorites.
I'll start because I've got it on my wall.
Uh-oh.
Ozzy Osbourne, Diary of a Madman. I mentioned Randy Rhoads is my favorite guitar player. He was a young guitar player from California, played in Quiet Riot, and then he joined Ozzy. So the story goes, he got called for the audition and he didn't know what to play, so he was just kind of tuning up and twiddling around, and Ozzy said, "You got the gig." And he went on and did the first 2 solo Ozzy albums. I had kind of heard, I was listening to Kiss and Van Halen and other bands like that, and I didn't really know who Ozzy Osbourne was as a solo artist. And when I sat down to compare, and of course comparing is wrong, but to compare Ozzy's Black Sabbath with Ozzy's solo albums, I realized, wow, this is like a different guy. He sounds amazing. He's so different. He's got this unique sound and the way he plays. And I remember the week that I discovered, you know what, I'm going to start listening to everything that Randy's ever done and he's ever going to do. And that weekend he died. He died in a plane crash. So my discovery of him was right on the cusp of him becoming great, but it was the very end of his life. So, and then ever since then, there's always been the comparisons about different guitarists being better, and the whole 80s was all about who has the better guitar player. But for me, it's the first 2 Ozzy albums have always been and always will be my favorite albums. But then I also like heavier stuff, Trivium, Avenged Sevenfold. Starting to get into stuff that's a little bit more, maybe not fusion, but more progressive. Scale of Summit, Pliny. Everyone looked kind of blank here. I don't think anybody recognizes them. But for those that listen back, and that's some pretty good guitar music to listen to, just for the sake of hearing different things on guitar. I started out listening to a little cassette tape with Elvis's greatest hits on it. And then from then, I started listening to the Carpenters. And then a good friend of mine played Kiss Alive 2 again on a little cassette. And that changed me into the heavy rock trajectory. But it was because of Randy Rhoads and how he studied music that I started listening to classical music in a big way, and eventually took classical lessons, classical guitar. So for me, it was all about playing rock and roll. Also a big James Taylor fan, and I love Martina McBride. Love Martina McBride. But mostly it's all the heavy stuff, heavy rock and roll. And, you know, it's, as my dad would say, it's so noisy. But when you listen to that kind of music all the time, you can hear the differences, and there's certain things that just might be hard to believe, but it's really soothing to listen to that cacophony of sound and hear things that kind of, like, it resonates with me. So, and there's nothing better than putting headphones on and listening to the second Boston album, Cranked. A lot of good musicality in there.
Yeah, for sure.
My sister would have, I remember getting my first Walkman, a little tape cassette player, and my sister had just gotten the new Chicago album, and there's good guitar on there. I remember listening to that over and over again as 80s movies were on the TV, and I'm just sitting there listening to this and thinking, I want to do that, and saying I don't see why I can't, and nobody ever told me I couldn't. And then 90210 would come on the TV, and that guitar solo in the opening was pretty awesome too. And but my brother gradually introduced me to some Pearl Jam, Leonard Skinner, not too much Leonard Skinner, Led Zeppelin. Then I got Nirvana's album in the early 90s, and I just started playing everything I could hear. I grabbed my dad's old guitar, and I would just try to mimic everything. Thankfully, I started with an easy band. It was great music, but it's easy stuff. But then I tried to go to Jimi Hendrix, and that was jumping off a cliff. Going from that to that, but two totally different genres. But I remember my dad whistling in the car all the time and thinking it was amazing. And my mom and her sisters can sing extremely well. So it was great hearing that in church and at home and things like that. But then I steadily started listening to Jimi Hendrix. Then in the 2000s, I was shocked by how good country guitar players are. We had one that was Barbara Mandrell's guitar player right here at Hopewell's at church in Hopewell, and he was Barbara Mandrell's guitar player on tour all the time. It was the most insane thing I'd ever heard of. And then he opened an Opry place in Williamsburg, Virginia, and I would go to that, and I'd be sitting there in the front row looking at him like he was a guitar god, because he was, but nobody would ever know who he was. So it was local heroes. And then I hate to say it, but Brad Paisley and Keith Urban, I don't know why I hate to say it, those guys are amazing at making you feel things. Like their performing is so much higher level than I imagined was possible. But when I first started seeing them, you see the emotion going through them, and then you see them going around the stage, and it's just the fluidity and second nature to them. So I was really influenced by that. And then Warren Haynes of Government Mule and Allman Brothers. I've seen him several times, and talk about soul. That guy, if you ever get a chance to watch Warren Haynes, you're going to hear his mouth open, barely any effort, but it'll just fill all the space in your ears. So I've been heavily influenced by his guitar playing as well. So.
Wow, that's a lot of great.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, for me, I grew up listening to a lot of gospel music. Grew up in the church, and it was always, and still is always, my go-to. So when I think about my music that I really, really love, it's gospel music, even some of the older ones, or even the new stuff that's out there now. Love Fred Hammond, love his stuff, Kirk Franklin. I love all of that. But traditionally, I heard a lot of that soul music growing up. My mom just absolutely loved, the Otis Reddings, the Gladys Knights, all of that sort of music. And it's really, I've kind of been stuck in that era, to be honest, because when I think about the music that I really, really love, it's that really old soul. I like the Temptations. I like, that is the music that really gets me. And those are the artists and the bands that I really enjoy listening to even now. And when my girls are playing music and they're singing to everything, and I'm just like, okay, I don't know any of this new stuff, but that's fine. There are a lot of new great artists out there, but I love my oldies. That's where I go to for everything that I need.
Yeah, I love Otis Redding. That's great.
Yeah. I'm stuck in a time warp.
Well, and every generation of music leads something, or lends something, leads into the next generation of music. It's just a beautiful cycle.
For me, I love music. I love a whole bunch of genres. But the ones that really, I don't have a specific favorite, but my go-to genres, funk, rock, jazz and fusion. They kind of intertwine for me. So they just do something to me. I love a song that feels good. For me, it's just like, it has nothing to do with me like playing an instrument or anything, but long before I could play anything, I just love a song with a good groove and that feels good. And rock does that for me. Funk does that for me, you know? And so I would definitely say, those two for sure. Rock and funk. Those are really like my go-tos for real. But I love so many other genres and things in between and artists in between. But like, I know, Kevin, you mentioned James Taylor, like Shower the People. That's my second favorite song by him, you know. And so I've got a chance to see him here in Memphis when he came to Mud Island some years ago, which was a great concert. But I just love, like, even when it comes to rock, I like heavy music as well. There's this group called Disciple. They have the song called Erase that is killer. I love that song. If y'all haven't, y'all take a listen sometime. It's a group called Disciple, and they have a song called Erase. And I'm telling you, it's just, the music does it for me, but the message with it is just like, yes, it's golden to me. But yeah, but like funk and rock, it's something about those genres. And as we all know now, it's like there's so many subgenres underneath, you know, just the big umbrella of this one genre. But those two genres and their subgenres, they just do it for me. Yeah. So. Yeah, for sure.
Cheryl, what are you listening to?
The sound of my dog snoring. That's normal.
I like that music.
Right.
Get an album.
Making music.
We can get an album, the dog snoring album.
Quartet. Yeah, it's amazing. I mentioned I grew up on classical music, and that was just, again, it kind of defined my grade school and up until I was about 14 years old, and my brother was taking me to school, much to his dismay. He was dropping me off because I was the little sister in the pain, I'm sure. But all of a sudden, Freebird came on. My whole world opened with that beginning piano solo. I just kept, play it over. And the tape that he had, of course, Freebird was split between sides A and B. And so I struggled so much in his El Camino, trying to fast forward at the very end when all you really had to do was let the tape go and it would go on to side B, but I couldn't figure that out. So I spent many of my years recording or rewinding and fast forwarding. But, I started listening to that, and it's odd that I go back and forth from, having classical music in my head. I go to Africa, Joy, when I've been back quite a few times. I want to hear the soundtrack to Out of Africa when I'm in the Ngong Hills in Nairobi, Kenya. It just, it connects to me, but then, I have other things where I'm driving down the road and, Freebird has been the first song I play in every single one of my vehicles. And I'm the Skinner girl in the back. I'm like, I'm the one that yells, play some Skinner, and everybody's like, shut up. So, but then I also, gospel music and Elvis. My mother wouldn't let me listen to anything but Elvis and Christian music and classical as a child. So, there's just so much. You can look back and it defines different periods of your life, in different moments. Simple Man was played at my husband's memorial service. And everybody always called him Simple Man. And so we can't hear that song. Anyone that knew him can't hear that song without connecting to his life and his legacy, which is an amazing honor, to be able to hear that and have those memories. So I just, it's inside. It's a soul thing.
It is. And I love that you mentioned the soundtrack and listening to Out of Africa when you're in that landscape, because U2's album, Joshua Tree, and I owned it for years. I'd listened to it, and, a bunch of times, you can sing all the songs, But my favorite experience with that album is listening to it in the car while driving to Joshua Tree and then driving in Joshua Tree National Park. And to really get that album, that's like you have to be in Joshua Tree. And they were there when they wrote it, when they recorded it, I believe they wrote it after a visit there. I can't remember the story, but it was a totally different experience. Like then I'd listened to it, dozens of times, but driving in Joshua Tree while listening to it was just phenomenal. So it's neat how it's like a soundtrack for a place and the way the landscape comes alive. I love that you mentioned that.
There was a period in my life when, for some reason, I think I moved 8 times in 2 years or in a couple of years. And I have, my truck has a cassette player, and I have a Triumph album. I think it's Just a Game. And one of the first song on the second side is called Moving On. And it happened to be rewound at the beginning of side 2 one time. And I was one of the first of those moves. I popped it in, it came, the cowbell and playing, and the song comes in with the guitar, and the song is called Moving On. And I thought, that's pretty fitting. All right, well, I'm moving. I'm going to a different apartment, moving all my stuff by myself, and got settled in. And then the next time I moved, I thought, I should play that again. It'll be like this thing. Every time I move, I'll play it. And I didn't realize that I'd be playing it so often for those couple of years. And I think the last time I moved, it was to move into a house that my wife and I, we were seeing each other, but we weren't married yet. And the last time I've moved was to move in together with my wife into our house in Fairview, and I didn't play it. And I thought, maybe it was jinxing me. Maybe I shouldn't play this song. But I was getting on a Triumph kick a little while ago, and I played all the albums that I had, and I put that song on. It was digital this time. And I thought, yeah, that brings me back. It brings me back to like loading up the car, and it's always raining. Every time I moved, it was raining. All my stuff's getting wet. I'm driving to the next place. And that was the soundtrack for me for those couple of years, always moving. So I hear that, and there I am in the truck, moving my stuff.
Wow.
Good times.
But isn't it funny how we all have, maybe even if it's a song or one album, that's our go-to for a specific thing. Like for me, it's Lauryn Hill's Miseducation of Lauryn Hill. Whenever I have a tough project, this is the album that I have to listen to.
That was great.
Because when I was studying, I had a week where I was also studying design and graphics, and I had a project week where I had to have all these projects finished, and that had just come out, and I had that on that whole week. I mean, I was working night and day trying to finish all these projects. So whenever I have something that is like, okay, this is really big, I have to get this done, that's what I put on. And it's so funny how it's like, yeah, it's repetitive, but it gets you through that time. You kind of just go back to that special song, that special album, and it's again, it's therapy, it's a memory, it's good or bad, but it's grounding. It's the go-to. Yeah.
It grounds you,
It grounds you, yeah. Yes.
Definitely. Although a warning would be, if you're not a morning person, do not have your alarm clock be music, because you will ruin a perfectly good song by that. I have ruined 2 songs. I ruined Ophelia from the Lumineers and Tennessee Whiskey by Chris Stapleton by having them as my alarm. And Chris still wakes me up every morning. He woke me up this morning at 6, and I was not happy, but it's okay. Well, what projects?
I have More Than a Feeling by Boston as my alarm music. And the reason I did that was because it comes in with guitar, just an acoustic guitar or electric guitar, and it comes in very slowly. So it gives me an opportunity to reach over there and turn it off and get up, or I'll just let it go. And then when the drums come in, I'm like, okay, I'm up.
Yeah.
But I still love that song. I still listen to it all the time. It's just, I hear 45 seconds of it every day, and then I don't hear the rest of the song. So it's okay.
Well, I can't even listen to either of those songs now because as soon as the very beginning part of the song comes on, I'm like, I'm already awake and I have to turn. Like
You should go to a concert, go see him in concert, and he starts playing a song. You'll be like in the crowd going, I'm awake.
I'm awake. Where's the snooze button? No. Yeah. Definitely. Oh man. What projects do you guys have coming up? What is new for you all? Anything coming out? Anything that you would like to share with us?
I'll go. Next year, we're in limbo. We're deciding when, but I mentioned Adagio, the group I sing in, and so next year we're going to drop a single called Timeline, and it's my favorite song that we've written thus far, and it's a nod to African American lineage. And so we'll either drop it in February because of Black History Month, or it'll be in June because of Juneteenth. So we're deciding, we're in limbo, but definitely excited about that. And we're continuing to work on original music. And then I'm actually in the process of revisiting and revamping some of my original music that I wrote some years ago. In fact, next month I'm going to be featured, Cheryl, at Hope for, I think it's the first weekend in November. I'm going to be included in the sermon series and all that jazz, and I'm going to perform one of my originals called Believe. So looking forward to that, and just looking forward to just really making these songs better, because it's so crazy to listen to how I used to hear things musically, years ago. I think we all can relate, like man, like I used to sound like that. Like I've grown a lot. So it's been a really cool experience. Even last night in the music room, my husband and I were hashing away at another song, another original that I'm currently writing and creating. So, or we are together. So just looking forward to that. So that's what I'm working on, just original music all around, and I'm excited about it.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Well, same for me. I am currently writing and working on my second album. So that's exciting. And yeah, that is my project for this year. Well, I think I'll be finished by mid next year. I'll be able to release definitely some new music, because I want it all completed. I'm not going to do singles. I'm working on a complete old school album. Yeah, the one that you listen to from front to back is my hope.
Right.
So I'm excited about that, and have started and actually started recording. So yeah.
Chad, what's going on for you?
Well, in 2 weeks will be our first show in a few months, so that'll be good. It's a private show, but it's out in Amherst, Virginia, which is about 2 hours away from here. So we'll be playing there the Halloween weekend. But then my big thing that I do on the side is I developed this brand called Overdriven. And so I have guitar picks, things like that. And I have my own brand of guitar picks. And so usually it's every dollar you spend gets you entered to win. So I was trying to make it so that anybody could buy a sticker and get a shot at a guitar that costs a lot of money. And so I've given away 2 so far. One was a American Telecaster, sent that down to Florida. And then recently a guy in Arizona won. It was an Epiphone Les Paul Modern 2021. The next one I'm going to do is going to be a little different. I'm going to do it where like I was mentioning earlier, I'm going to give away this the Epiphone Jared James Nichols guitar. I'm going to give that away to one person, and I'm going to have it limited to only 200 people. And then I'm going to donate 10% of the earnings to a charity of my choice. But I'm hoping to be able to do that for my friend's art class that I was mentioning, so he can buy supplies for his public school art class down there. And so I just want to, it all started by, I've got this Instagram page that's kind of growing pretty fast. And I take pictures of my own guitars, and I have what's known as a guitar collection. I've got several Gibsons, I've got several Fenders, and but I developed the habit of taking photography and using my photography skills to take nice looking pictures and everything and posting them on Instagram. It just got me out of like sitting still and not doing things during the pandemic and everything. So I started doing that. After the pandemic started, I needed to get myself doing something creative. And then eventually I started getting people from all over the world. It's like, can I have a guitar? And I'm like, well, I can't afford to give you guitars. So I figured out a way where I could. So now I'm able to give guitars away, and this is how I can afford it. It's by having a group effort accumulate the money for me to buy the guitars to give away. So this guy that just got it was, he's in college, said he would have never been able to afford it without it. I was thrilled to give him the guitar, and he's very excited to have it. So, but that's my biggest project going on at the moment. Playing music is a lot of fun, and we write a lot of music. And there's always the hope that something good will happen from that. But this giving guitars away is really where my passion is at the moment. I mean, I hate to say that guitar playing is my passion, but you can have two passions, right?
Oh yeah,
I have multiple passions. That's probably my problem. A lot of people say I have too many irons and fires, but
well,
you only live once.
What you love, you're
right.
taking something that you love so much, and then you're sharing it with people. So I mean,
right. And that's and a lot of the people are out there needing something, and they can't afford the stuff that I have. And I started feeling really bad. Like I feel like I'm just showing off everything when I was just intending it to be an artistic outlet. And so now I'm able to provide people with assistance and help them get things. And the goal is to get it to people who can't afford it. But if somebody happens to win it that can't afford it, that's fine too. But I just want to keep giving and giving and giving as many as I can and never let it stop. So we'll see. Hopefully it keeps going. I've been losing a lot of money so far, but it's all right. It's not giving if you get everything back, right? So
yeah, I'm glad that you're doing that. I love the concept behind that. And if anyone has not seen the previous episode that Chad was on, he really goes into detail about that. In season 1, we had a whole conversation about that, and it was and that was the first giveaway. So now
it was
the third one.
The guy that won actually chose the alternate guitar, which I was giving away a brand new Fender American Professional 2 Stratocaster. Now that's my guitar, because I had to give him the other one that I owned. I was like, well, if you don't want the Stratocaster, you can have an American Telecaster. And it was one that I owned. And I was like, well, that bit me. But I got a new Strat.
I'll take it. Yeah.
I know, right?
Yeah, just give it to me. I mean,
Right. I'm going to end up using it as another giveaway in the future. So I will give it away because I haven't bonded with it. So I tend to bond with my Gibsons a lot. So Cheryl, you'll be happy about that one, I'm sure. That Pelham Blue back in the background is really getting me. Yes.
There you go. All right. Definitely. Kevin, what is up?
I'm in the process of writing material with some guys that I played with in back in 83. The first group of guys that I got together and played in clubs, we were called White Lie. And we played all originals. We were a pretty heavy band for the time. It was just 4 guys, guitar, bass, singer, and a drummer. And we went through a couple of different versions after that, but the original core of guys, I can't remember how we got together. I think a friend of mine had digital recordings of some cassettes that we did, and he emailed them to me and the drummer just out of nowhere, just last year or the beginning of this year. And that kind of got us, like, we had been keeping in touch, but that kind of got us talking about, hey, maybe we should just get together and jam. So this year I was planning on going up to visit my mom, and the drummer had contacted me and he said, since you're coming up to Canada, you want to get together and play? And I said, well, yeah, absolutely. We'll just get together in somebody's basement, put some songs together, some of the old songs. And we ended up, it evolved into doing a show for some close friends and family. We had some people that were associated with us through the years. We ended up having 6 cameras, full sound, and there's supposed to be like a video of it, possibly a documentary made of it. The thing is, though, it's not something that we weren't a known band, so there isn't like that marketing thing. But as far as and this is the second band that I've been in where this idea came up. Have a band that nobody knows, but show what they're going through, because there's probably more bands like us than bands that have made it. Like there's a million bunches of people that got together and decided, let's play music, let's go play a few shows, and let's invite our parents. And then, oh, somebody got married, somebody went to college, somebody moved away. So we were one of those bands, but we decided to do that, and it turned into, well, that was fun. Why don't we just see where it goes? So we're actually currently doing remote jam sessions and writing stuff, and it's just like it's like we were 19. So we still tell bad jokes, we cut up each other, and we go, hey, I got this riff, listen to that. And one guy go, okay, well, add this to it, add that to it. And we're just writing stuff like that. So here we are, all of us in our 50s, deciding, let's put this music together and see where it goes. And if the lowest expectation, which is still a pretty big one, is let's get these songs finished and be able to say, hey, we got together after 40 years and we did this, and show our grandkids and say, this is what we did. But if it gets picked up, if something happens to it, if the documentary gets made, then that's just icing. It's just something that we love to do. We wanted to do this forever.
Yeah, that's awesome. And, we've focused a lot today on, I think, more listening to music and the power behind that. But you bring up something so important, how special it is, the collaboration, the creating the music, but creating it with other people and all the little parts, what you each add to it and bring to it. And that whole process of bringing that music to life and taking something that didn't exist and giving birth to it, so to speak. But when you're collaborating with others, there's something very powerful and very special and even healing about that too. So, all right, where can we've lost Cheryl. So Cheryl has been having some internet issues, so we have lost her. She is gone. But where can we find you all? If people want to look for you on social media. We'll start with Chad, and we'll just kind of go around.
Okay, my Instagram is KC Overdriven, and then if you wanted to find my company, it's Overdriven MFG. I created MFG because I thought I would be manufacturing the picks on my own, and eventually I may. So those are my big spots. And then I've got Overdriven on YouTube, but I don't have anything there yet. So in the future, it will go live on Overdriven. So I'll have some interesting music and things like that planned in the future.
Cool. Awesome. All right. Sonja.
Well, yeah, you can find me, of course, on Facebook, on Instagram. It's Sonja LaVoice. There I've already have a website. It's, of course, www.sonjalavoice.com. And there you can find everything about me, my music, what shows I'm doing, where you can see me live. I do a lot of live performances. Of course, you'll have to be in Germany to see them.
Hey, everyone, it's a trip. We're all going to Germany, right?
We're going.
Yeah.
Right.
There's always the Christmas special, so you got time, book flights.
All right.
So yeah, that's where you can find me, and my stuff is on all of the platforms that so the Spotify and Amazon and Deezer and all of that. So Sonja LaVoice, that's how you find me.
All right. And I was watching some of your your music videos on YouTube, and those are so beautiful. Do you produce those yourself?
I do. Well, I mean, when I say myself, well, I work with people, but yeah, it's very much homemade. If
Wow.
you-
Well, they are wonderful. Everyone needs to go watch your music videos for sure.
Yes, please do. Yeah, I do have a YouTube channel, and my original songs and the videos are there. So yeah, take a look. They're very special to me, and I hope they bring something to you when you hear them.
Yes, yes. Well, Joy, where can we find you?
You can find me on Facebook, Joy Freeman, and then on Instagram at Bella Joy. I'm sorry, Bella_Joy on Instagram. And I'm currently in the process of doing all the other things just for myself, like a website and all that jazz. So I have a lot of other things under construction, which I'm excited about. So just to put me out there a little bit more, as a professional. I mean, a lot of people here in the city know me, but just to like package myself a little better. So it's so interesting me even talking about all of that, but it's cool though. It's really cool. And so I'm excited about the journey. But yes, Facebook, Joy Freeman, and Instagram at Bella_Joy.
At Bella_Joy. All right. Thank you. Kevin, other than being far, far away from here at Kevin's Rock and Roll Emporium, where can we find you?
I've got my personal Instagram is Kevin Murakami Music. And I've also got a website, kevinmurakamimusic.com, which I've got a lot of things just from past music things that I've done, and some old clips of things that I've played, where I played. But the biggest other thing that I've been doing is running my own music store. So I also have, and the funny thing about me being like an old guy who uses social media, sometimes I post music stuff on the wrong platform and vice versa. So on my my Instagram for the store is Kevin's Rock and Roll Emporium, and the Facebook page is also Kevin's Rock and Roll Emporium. So if you go to those, if you go to those, you might see just like unrelated stuff for the store, or you might see store stuff on my social media posts for my personal page. But they're all intertwined. It's all me. I'm a goofball in both of them.
Yes, and everyone that watches the show, when you hear the intro, you see the intro, it's Kevin's song for Coffee and Words, which is just awesome. So I appreciate that. And we never really showed our mugs. Sometimes we bring them out home, but I'm kind of curious to see what everybody brought today.
I've got a mug here.
Oh, here's my mug.
Yes, Kevin has the funny mug.
Oh, he does.
Oh no.
It's true. It's water now, but later.
It's funny because earlier he showed me the "see you on the other side," and I'm thinking Aussie, and then he turns it around, and I was like, okay, gotcha. Thank you all so much for coming on the show and really taking part in what is really the official first panel discussion on Coffee and Words. And I hope to do more of these. We've actually got another panel discussion coming up at the end of October. So I'm really excited about that. But, music is just that thing that moves me and keeps me going in life so much. And I was like, we have to do some kind of discussion about music because it impacts everyone. And so bringing together people who come from so many different genres and backgrounds in music has just been such a blessing to have you all on. So thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
It's been fun.
And it was a pleasure meeting everybody too.
Same here.
On the panel, learned a lot.
Yeah. All right, and I'll say goodbye for Cheryl as well. She's missing out, but we've had a good time having Cheryl on, and we can find her. She's on Instagram as CM_the OG is her newest one, or Cherelvis. So people can find her if they want to go check out Cheryl. But thank you all, and have a wonderful and blessed week. And hopefully I'll talk to you all soon.
You too. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, y'all. Have a good one.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Take care.